Hey, you know what's better than a cold beer on a winter day? A hot, heated beer on a cold winter day.
This is my favorite moment from Philly sports history, and it was just the beginning of craft beer and sports collaborations.
He's Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Macnow. We're at Broken Goblet in Bensalem, PA for another edition of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Montgo Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board. Download the app. By Visit Bucks County. Follow the Bucks County Ale Trail. Go to visitbuckscounty.com/ale trail to get your passport. And by the Conshohocken Brewing Company, now with 5 locations.
Hey, welcome to What's Brewing. He's Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Macnow. We are at Broken Goblet in Bensalem. A really fun place, first time here.
Yeah, brand new spot actually. It's my first time here as well.
Really enjoying ourselves today, and we hope you're enjoying yourselves out there. We always appreciate everybody who watches us. You can follow us, by the way, on social media. He is at beer_radar. I am at Real Glen Macnow. The show at What's Brewing PA, all on Twitter. Okay. So we always like to start the show with our beer exchange, and basically this is how this happened. I was up in Massachusetts last week visiting my kids, went into a store. I said, you know what, I want to try something different. It's stout season up there, and so they gave me this Joe Sixpack, and I think this is a lot of fun. This is a Lawson's liquid. Well, Lawson's makes Sip of Sunshine, a great IPA.
Lawson's Finest Liquid's a real fine brewery, and I think, you know, I was not familiar with their stout, so I love the fact that you came back from a stout from Massachusetts.
This is their Faiston Maple Imperial Stout, which is well, it's got obviously what it says. It's got maple syrup in it. And I thought, give me a couple of those glasses, if you would. I thought, what could be more fun than a nice winter stout? Oh, look at the color on this thing, huh? Stout with maple syrup. So it brought us to the idea of doing an exchange of unusual flavored stouts, and maple syrup seems to be one. So how about that? What do you think? I smell the maple in there, right?
A little bit. I smell more of the stout flavor, you know, the dark roasted malt, but it tastes like there's a good bit of maple syrup in there.
You get it at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really nice beer. I know you can get Lawson's. Some places down here, I don't know if they have
Not
this
sure.
one.
I bet you this one's coming. Since it's in a can, it looks like
Anyway,
they're ready to
top
distribute it.
that for
All
unusual
right. Well,
stouts.
you know, you didn't have to drive that far away or fly, however you get around, Glenn, but to find a flavored stout. This is a new one relatively from Victory. It's their Java Latte Cold Brew Stout.
Ooh.
So it's a coffee stout.
Yeah,
You know, let's see how this one goes and how it compares. This one showed up in 4-packs at my local beer store not too long ago, so I thought it'd be nice to give it a
Victory,
shot.
I mean, their stuff is always great. And again, I love the stouts this time of year. I love the dark. I love the richness. And a lot of them, you think it's like, oh, that's going to be a really heavy beer, but it's not.
Not necessarily. Well, this one is actually, I think it's got 8.2% alcohol, so it's pretty stiff.
I like it. I got to tell you, there's nothing about this that's extremely distinctive. It's a fine stout.
I'm not the biggest fan of coffee beers, but I think this is a pretty decent one. It's interesting because, you know, for so long, you would know about Victory's stout as that Storm King was their big stout, but over the years they've expanded and come out with a lot of other flavors.
One more I want you to try. This is from Vermont, Stoneface Brewing Company, milk stout with chai tea in it.
All right.
I have no idea if this is going to be any good or be horrible.
What is chai anyway? Is it a...
It's an herb. It's that they
It's
make
an herb?
tea of.
Okay.
Damned if I know. I didn't know there
All
would
right.
be questions here. I ran out of glasses. I'll just use one of theirs. There you go. Terrible.
I don't know if terrible is the right word.
You know what this is like? End of the night, somebody poured a glass of iced tea into a glass of beer, and, you know,
Yeah, maybe.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well,
all right, let's just go over a couple of others
All
quickly.
right. All right. Well, I got one for you that I think you'll might knock your
By the way,
socks
the chai
off.
tea has cinnamon, cardamom, clove, and ginger.
All right. So we've done coffee,
Yeah,
done maple,
Yeah.
done tea.
yeah.
Here's Stone Zocaveza, I believe is how you pronounce it. Imperial Stout inspired by Mexican hot
Oh, I
chocolate.
love Mexican hot chocolate.
hot chocolate.
Ooh,
All right. Well,
that sounds good. I like that.
we're just going
All
to
right,
grab
while
it.
you pour that, I'll just show you a couple others that we got here. This is Dragon's Milk Reserve Oatmeal Cookie. We might have had this in an earlier show. This is 11%er
Whoa.
from Dragon's Milk. Oatmeal cookie.
That's why we
sounds
don't
like
remember it.
Sounds like a nice thing to try. This is from Maine Atlantic Save the Ales. I love that. Cadillac Mountain Stout, which is a dry Irish stout.
I got one more here with a lot of flavor in it for you. Hey, that's pretty good, that Zocaveza. And this is the Syntax Imperial Peanut Butter Stout from Mother Earth Brewing. Imperial Peanut Butter.
I like it. I brought you a peanut butter one also. This is, of course, from Founders Brewing, their KBS. This was, I read, it won an award as the best hard-to-find beer in the country last year, whatever that means. Their KBS flavored stout with chocolate and coffee aged in barrels. Okay, so that's that. Couple things we want to get to. We've talked about football and sports-themed beers. In fact, they did it here and they did it well with their Jason Kelsey beer. Nobody likes us and we don't care. After the Super Bowl, it's become a thing. Of course, we know the Weyerbacher Dallas Sucks beer was a big deal.
Really?
DeBird's Colch from Moss Mill was pretty good. Imprint Brewing in Montco just released Gangrene 59. I'm guessing it's more Seth Joyner than Mike Mamula for 59. Right?
Recall there.
Well, I'm thinking so. And you know, this year the Eagles teamed up with Goose Island. All the Budweiser, InBev did a bunch, right?
Yeah, that was some pretty savvy marketing on their part. The Goose Island, of course, is owned by Anheuser-Busch. Golden Road out in L.A., Elysian made one, and so on. So a bunch out there.
All right, that's all fine and dandy. The ones I love are kind of the independent ones that have their own mind. There's one out of Buffalo that just came out. The Bills played the Cowboys this year for Thanksgiving. First time, I believe they had played them since the 2 Super Bowl losses.
Okay.
And so the name of the brewery is Resurgence Brewing in Buffalo. I'm going to play the clip. This is a great old clip from the early 90s when the Bills played the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Listen to this.
Dallas is going down, Gary. Only Buffalo is going to win it. Dallas is going down.
So that guy's a Buffalo fan. That guy could be any Eagles fan ever. Dallas is going down.
Absolutely.
Right, and I think the guy he's referring to there is Gary, is a TV broadcaster up there. But I love
okay,
that. So it's Dallas is going down, Gary IPA, a special release for the season. And here's my favorite one. Harper's Ferry Brewing out of, I'm guessing, Harper's Ferry, suburb of Washington, Purcellville. Like every other Washington fan, is disgusted with the ownership of that sorry
It gets
team.
worse and worse, too.
It is the most dysfunctional franchise in the NFL. They made a brewery called Sell the Team.
Sell the Team
I
IPA.
love that. Yeah, Sell the Team IPA.
You don't get the message, Mr. Snyder, right?
And here's what they said. It is finished at 9.5% alcohol to get you through another dreadful Sunday. So good for them.
I love it.
And I do love that. All right, coming up. It's cold out there. At least we assume it's cold out there when you're watching this. Anybody ever drink a hot beer?
We will.
We're going to try. Right. We're from Broken Goblet Brewing in Ben Salem on What's Brewing. Hi, it's Glen Macnow. You've seen some of our Conshohocken Brewing Company's spots on this show, so I'd like to invite you to come and check them out. You can find us in Conshohocken, Bridgeport, Phoenixville, King of Prussia, and here in Havertown, where I'm enjoying an award-winning Puddler's Row right now. It's one of our year-round core beers, along with Type A IPA and user-friendly blonde ale. We've also got exciting seasonal beers, like Blood Money IPA, Philly Vice, and our Unfiltered IPA series. And come hungry. From burgers and wings to salads and small bites, there's something for everyone. Don't leave without trying the amazing cheese curds. All of our spots are built for year-round fun, so you can enjoy a cold one in every season. And good news, you can find Conshohocken beer at grocery stores, distributors, and restaurants throughout PA, South Jersey, and Delaware. So get yourself to Conshohocken Brewing Company. I'll meet you at the bar. Hey, welcome back to What's Brewing. We're at Broken Goblet. Yeah, I know. How about that? And Ben Salem, PA, Joe Sixpack, Glen Macnow. There's a purpose to this smoke.
Okay.
Well, you know, we always talk about winter ales. We're going to do a show coming up on Christmas ales, winter ales. But what else do you do during the winter? And I read a piece about how people used to regularly drink hot beer, warm beer, beer cocktails, right?
I mean, back in the 1700s, this was the way, during the winter, you drank beer. The saying was that you should drink beer at the same temperature as your blood.
That would be 98.6. We may even go a little higher today. I found a recipe that I think is very cool. It's going to take me a second to pronounce this. It's pronounced Grozniec. This is a Polish recipe for a hot beer. It is very simple. That's why we're making it. So here's what we did. I started with 4 ounces of orange juice. Already got that heated. I am going to pour in a 12-ounce beer, Broken Goblet, and they say for this, use a nice, agreeable dark beer.
Okay.
I'm not sure what we have to agree
It's
with.
a dark beer.
But this is a nice, agreeable dark beer. This is there. All goblets have spirits. This is a 10% Scotch ale made with gala apples and maple syrup. Wow, we have a little maple syrup theme going today. So we're going to mix that in. Along with that, I always want to do a cooking show. Along with that, you put in a tablespoon of honey. That seems about a tablespoon right there.
That's about right.
There you go. You put in 3 cloves. Oh, I'm sorry, you put in a cinnamon stick.
Right.
Got the cinnamon stick. Let's put that in. And you put in 3 cloves. This thing is said a beautiful way to get you through a cold winter night, preferably with the one you love.
So it reminds
Well, that's not you, but whatever.
It reminds me of a little bit of like of a mulling kind of mixture that you would do. A lot of people are familiar with mulled wine. You could do it the same with beer.
Sure. So now I think the thing is we need to wait until this is ready. So what are we going to do while we wait?
I got a beer.
There you go. We'll be back in a minute. All right, well, 10 minutes have passed, during which Joe Sixpack drank 4 beers. And in the meanwhile, this Grozniec has warmed up. Again, it's a very simple recipe.
It smells really good.
A couple of ingredients. It smells great. Hopefully you can see this here without me pouring it all over the floor. Broken Goblet. As I try to pour it here. Oh, look at that. I put an extra cinnamon stick in your glass.
Okay.
And again, in the 17th, 18th century, drinking hot beer was a regular part of what people did. And you know what? Why not? Yeah. Smells really pleasant.
Watch it. It's hot.
It's a little hot? Okay. All right. We'll go slow. You know what? I like that.
Man.
Right?
You know, I could see on a bitter cold day after shoveling snow.
Yeah.
Not that I shovel snow, but
After calling a guy to shovel your snow?
exactly.
Oh, am I tired from that phone call?
I mean, you've heard of lawnmower beer,
yeah.
snowblower beer.
Absolutely. And again, it is really simple. It was 4 ounces of orange juice, 1 12-ounce dark beer, some cloves, some honey, some cinnamon stick, and you make a great thing. You can't beat that, Joe Sixpack.
Yeah, well, I think I got it. I could do it even easier. I stopped by some friends at the craft beer outlet in Northeast Philadelphia, and I told them what you were going to do, and they said, here's something easier. Just grab a bottle of Scotch ale. In this case, this is Christmas ale from Bell's Brewing, one of your favorite.
Yeah.
And just warm it up and and drink it that way.
That's the whole effort you went to?
Well, we'll see if it
You
matches.
put a bottle of beer in a dog bowl and heated it up, and that's it?
I'll tell you what. Here's your stinking cinnamon.
All right, well, here's to you.
All right, cheers.
You know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
I've never had hot beer before in my life. I like it. I really like this. The Grozniec, again, the recipe is easy to make, and it's going to be cold this winter. That's what they say.
Well, we should share that recipe on Facebook so folks can do it themselves.
We will be happy to do that and let you know. But again, simple, fun, and a nice way to get through the winter. All right, coming up, we're going to visit with the president of Visit Bucks County.
Right, they've got an app. They've done a great job putting together a beer trail here, and they've brewed a collaboration beer we'll taste.
That's next on What's Brewing.
It's a place that inspires the dreamers, the overachievers. A place for those who follow the path as well as the ones who blazed them. So whether you want to go with the flow or rise above it all, visit Bucks County and be inspired.
Welcome back to What's Brewing with Broken Goblet in Ben Salem. I am enjoying a delicious Buried Treasure Cream Ale. We've talked about cream ales. I am a fan. Joe Sixpack, we're doing our brew down this year. You got lots of results to report.
I do. We are closing in on the end of the first rounds, and in the tart section, we had Trogue's Raspberry Tart. Came out this past summer, very popular, and it beat Love City How's It Goes.
Okay.
Good name for a beer.
Yep.
In the pills section, River Horse Roly Poly Pills, a really good beer from New Jersey, but it fell overrun by Stouts Pills, which is pretty much
Stouts Pills.
It's the benchmark of pills
Sure it
in
is.
the Philadelphia area, I'd
Yep.
say. And then I know in a category that you were really into, the flavored beer section.
Some of them.
Okay. We had Manny Young Chocolate Peanut Butter Crunch Porter.
Tried it, like it.
It's a beer that showed up in our show in the past and on our podcast.
Yeah.
We've always enjoyed it, and it just edged out Forgotten Boardwalk Funnel Cake.
Ooh, I like that too. We had that. That was good stuff.
Exactly, and we actually had the brewer or the owner of Forgotten Boardwalk on our podcast one time, and she on our Twitter feed suggested that you could choose both beers by mixing the Manny Young chocolate peanut butter porter with the
Funnel cake?
funnel cake.
I would, sure, why not?
All right, says
I
the
just
guy-
had beer and orange juice 10 minutes ago, so why not? I would try anything. It sounds like fun. All right, we are delighted to be joined by the president of Visit Bucks, Paul Benchavengo. Thanks for being with us, man.
Cheers.
You guys got a lot. Yeah, hey, you need a beer, for God's
Actually,
sake.
you
There
brought,
you go.
You brought beer with us. Tell us, pour us, open that baby up and pour it and tell us about it.
So here in Bucks County, we've started the Ale Trail, and this is our second collaborative beer. This is with Broken Goblet, and Naked came together and did an apple graph.
Okay.
So this is, there's a local cider from Snipes Farm, not too far away. Cheers.
Oh, yeah, I'm smelling apple cider there.
I'm hungry and thirsty listening to
There
you
you
guys.
go.
So this is the second collab.
Wow.
We did 1682 Kolsch in the
That's kinda
summer.
nice. No, I was expecting sweet, not sweet.
No, it's great. It's got great reviews. A lot of reviews on Untapped.
Okay, so it's a style though that I'm not really familiar with, and I learned from Mike, who we'll be talking a little bit later to, that this is the Graph is a beer style that comes from Stephen King in his Dark Tower series. That's kind of neat.
Neat and different, yeah.
Apple cider and beer mixed together.
And the guys have told us it's an apple graph. That's the way that we've
Apple
been promoting
graph,
it
okay.
and talking about it.
I like it. It's
I
really,
do
it's
too.
really
I
good.
would drink that.
There's a lot going on here in Bucks County.
There
You
is.
have an ale trail, which we'll talk a little bit about in a second. But first, I should mention you also have an app online.
We do. So there's a digital passport and there's also a printed passport. You visit 5 breweries or more in Bucks County, and you send away and get the highly coveted Ale Trail T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
So the
Hey.
this has become really a hot item.
Hey, Matt, let me
gangbusters.
hold that up, because that's a beautiful map of Bucks County right there with all the breweries listed.
We're 620.
This is an afternoon
square
for you.
miles.
It is. So there's how many breweries here in Bucks County?
But there's new ones opening all the time. I think we're almost up to 20. It's amazing, and it's been great for us when we're talking about tourism and reasons to come visit. People love to try the breweries.
Is that a new thing in the world of tourism? I know that you're a tourism pro. The whole idea that people will sort of structure their trips and vacations around beer. It sounds like my kind of trip,
Yeah,
but
culinary tourism has really been booming,
Mm-hmm.
and the scene up here in Bucks County has been fantastic. We've got wineries, we have breweries,
Right, distilleries too, right?
as well. We've got a restaurant week that we do at the end of April into May in Bucks County. So bringing all the local restaurants, the farmers all together is great for us, and it's all about local ingredients. Again, they use the cider from Snipes Farm in the apple graph, which kind of keeps it local, and people love that. They're from outside the area.
Sure.
They come down and they want to meet the local brewers and taste the beer that's got kind of from the earth
With
here
a
in
local
Bucks County.
flavor. You want to be, you are visiting somewhere, you want to know what the place is about.
Yeah, we've got tons of small towns, main streets here in the county, and there's breweries all the way down, from Croydon. We're here in Ben Salem. We've got them in Newtown, Yardley, Quakertown. I don't want to try and name every town, but up and down the county.
Constantly opening up. It's a great part of tourism. What I would suggest to you is that you need to build a monorail in Bucks County. I know this is coming out of left field, but I want to see a monorail
The Simpsons?
that connects all of them somehow, and I don't have to drive.
So there are a couple companies that will pick you up and will help, put the tour together for you. And if you want to visit some wineries, some breweries, so if you go to our website.
Good, and they do the driving.
And they do the driving.
Which is always nice if you want to take this seriously.
You have all the fun.
Well, Paul, listen, it looks terrific. This is a great beer. Again, if people want to find more, download the app. Is that the smartest way?
Yep, go to
Give the app one more time.
Visit buckscounty.com. You can find it there on our site. And again, it's 5 or more breweries that you visit. You can get the T-shirt, and we'll do a new T-shirt come spring. So it'll give you another reason to come back. And don't just come and drink the beer. Come and visit and explore all the stuff there is to do in the county.
Well, I encourage folks to try this beer too. It's a different style of beer. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to one of the brewers who made this beer here at Broken Goblet. I'm Joe Sixpack. I love beer and I love travel. I've visited great breweries around the world, and I'm inviting you to join me on my next expedition to France. Yes, they make beer in France. We'll travel the Seine on a luxury river cruise from Paris to Normandy. We'll visit breweries, explore the sights, drink great beer, and maybe some wine. Join me in October 2020. Just visit my website at phillybeerworld.com. Let's discover a world of beer together.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. We are at Broken Goblet in Ben Salem with Mike Locouture, who's the co-owner of this great place that we're having a blast at, and particularly that.
This was a nice beer. It surprised me, the flavor of it, Mike. Really interesting.
Yeah, as I said, it's very unexpected. Your first inclination is I see apple cider, and I hear there's a lot of apple cider, and it's going to be sweet.
Right.
But just the way the recipe was developed and where we put the apple cider, the sweetness is cut by the actual base beer, which is porter, almost stout-like in terms of a build-out for the recipe.
I felt that it was a really tasty beer, and we have some others in front of us here. It's the greatest thing about coming to do our show in breweries. We get lots of beers that we may not try them. Yeah, absolutely.
And as you know, I'm a fan of the cream ale, dating back to my days growing up in Buffalo Genesee Cream.
Right.
This is a nice cream ale you make.
Yeah, it's I think that style is underserved in this area.
I agree.
There's some great examples of it, but that was one of our core beers. It's called Steinbeiser's Buried Treasure, or as most of our people know it, Buried Treasure. And just a cool story about it: the other two owners have some tie way back in the 1700s to a lost treasure, some sort of old world type of buried out in the West, and so. When we were first opening, we got into an issue with a brewery on the West Coast, and so we raised some money via Kickstarter. One of the perks was to name a beer.
Okay.
And so the family decided to name a beer, and the family name was Steinbeiser, and so we went with the whole buried treasure concept. So, but it's done super well for us. It's easy to make, and it's probably the beer that goes out of here the fastest.
That's cool. And before, when you poured this, you told me this is a West Coast IPA, but it's got the kind of big aroma that I'm familiar with on the New England style.
Yeah.
IPAs.
So this is a brand new beer. This is called Once Invincible. It's a 6.9% West Coast IPA, but we kind of blur the lines between the West Coast style and the East Coast flavor and sort of the haze craze that's going on. So we wanted a beer that would be popular on this coast, but we wanted to stick with sort of the elements that make up the West Coast, one of which being you can see through the beer, God forbid, that you can actually see through a beer, and that it still has somewhat pronounced hop bitterness, but then we dialed that back with the hop placement of the beer, dry hopped it heavily with Citra Mosaic, and what you get is kind of this blurry West Coast, East Coast beer.
So you've opened up this new brewery, a new location in Ben Salem. Mm-hmm. Do you feel as you've gotten this big that you're still able to experiment with these kinds of styles?
Yeah, I think that we are, at least in this lower Bucks area, one of the more eccentric brewers, I would say. We're not a traditional brewery, and part of that was because when we opened in Bristol, it was a tiny brewery. I mean, you've seen it before, plastic fermenters, no temperature control to speak of. So we made a lot of off-kilter, to use the Dogfish Head phrase, but we made a lot of off-kilter beers. We're having a bit of a renaissance here because now we have this beautiful new equipment. It's more state of the art, allows us to actually make the basics well, the lagers and your base ambers and whatnot. But because of our history, we don't want to let our constituents down and not brew a beer like the Graf or these beers that we infuse with tea.
What do you think you do best?
It's a great question. I think we make a really good saison. I think we make a really good stout and a really good Russian Imperial stout. What we do best is actually not even the beer. I think what we do best, if I can toot our horn, is the experience when you come to the brewery, the customer service, the staff, the other patrons. It's what we've prided ourselves on, and so we make great beer, and we are very proud of it, and it's getting better every day. But we're just totally ecstatic to have this
You got
facility.
a fun environment.
Yeah.
You're in a great little spot here on well, not little, actually, it's a good sized place on
State Road.
State Road, yeah, it's the main drag here. And there's a few other local food producers in this area here.
Yeah, I mean, right next to us, knock on cement, Vince's Pizza is going to open up. There's this distillery right next to us. We have great relationships with, the Dog and Bull, the Newportville Inn, and countless other, as you go further out, Humeville Inn's got great food. Isaac Newton's has great food. Pennsylvania, we're so lucky. We're so lucky to have
absolutely.
what we have compared to New Jersey. So we embrace it, and we are ecstatic to work with these people, and I think they're very happy to work with us.
So you've done a number of beers that have gotten a lot of attention over the months. Mainly, as I mentioned in the opening, the infamous "No One Likes Us, We Don't Care," which was the post Super Bowl victory beer. Is this just a matter of you guys being big sports fans up here? You've had some other ones over the years as well.
I mean, the irony of this whole thing is that the brewery has 3 owners, and 2 of them are Giants fans. And then there's me.
We can take that part out of the show if you want.
I think it's funny because the best part about it is them having to fully embrace the Philly sportsdom because of where we are. No, I mean, we are all sports fans of all the teams. But I think what happens is that because of my day job, I am home all the time on my computer. I'm working, so we're able to be really fast when stuff, when pop culture stuff emerges, and we've got basically a graphic designer on call. I like to consider myself an idea kind of guy, so we're able to flip the switch very quickly. The Kelsey beer was 24 hours.
Wow.
The Gritty beer was. I mean, the minute that commercial hit the internet, I called that reveal with this guy. I called
you
my
figured
artist,
that
and,
out.
Yeah. It's not necessarily this sportsdom. It's more just being ready and picking and choosing your battles wisely.
Well, Mike Luckachir, thank you so much for having us here at Broken Goblet today. State Road in Bensalem. The beer is great. The environment's fun. And you can join Joe Sixpack and I next week for a new episode of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Montgo Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board. Download the app. By Visit Bucks County. Follow the Bucks County Ale Trail. Go to visitbuckscounty.com/ale trail to get your passport. And by the Conshohocken Brewing Company, now with 5 locations.